So, the AAA game landscape is kind of in shambles right now. Companies and their representatives are saying and doing things that just make gamers furious and angry. Now, I won't get into specifics since a lot of other creators have made videos about what is currently happening. But the gist is that companies like Ubisoft and Bethesda, which are companies that made the games I love the most, are just failing horribly at being AAA game companies. They're producing lackluster titles and then attempt to gaslight their communities into thinking that their games are great and it's their own market, their own target audience that is wrong, which from a business perspective is so off the mark. I mean, you don't tell your market to like the game you've made. You create a game that the market will like, and if you do your job well, then your audience will love it. But if you make a poor product, then the consumer won't buy it. And those who had the misfortune of buying the horrible product will likely complain about the things they bought. And that is just how selling a product goes. And as gamers and as a passionate community, we are great at expressing our disappointments about the game franchise we love and to the companies that made those games. And it is so easy to blame them and the people who are forcing propaganda inside these games. And as consumers alone, right? As consumers who are using our hard-earned money to pay for these games, which often cost $70 to $100, we have the right to be angry, to be disappointed, and to feel scammed by these greedy companies. However, there is something I want to say, or better yet, something I simply want to suggest. Maybe somewhere around 2016 or so, we've actually been paying for shit. And so because of the absolute laws of physics, we got shit. And since a lot of us have been paying for shit, pre-ordering shit, getting gold shit editions and other limited shit editions, AAA game companies realized that they could just sell shit and earn millions. And this worked, at least for a little while. However, what they didn't realize was that there were other players in the landscape. Those who are not satisfied with just earning a few millions, but want to create masterpieces that players will love and talk about for weeks, months, or even years. And so because of these titles that showed us that the modern gaming experience can be so much more, we are able to look beyond the smoke and mirrors that these companies and organizations have set up to push their propaganda and delusions. So what this means is that we have options, right? There are hundreds of games that come out every month and those shitty AAA games are just a few of them. So for example, next February, we have the option to either buy AC Shadows or Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. One is a game filled with controversy, from a company that pushes out one AAA game a year with little to no innovation, while the other is from an indie studio who created a beloved game with amazing gameplay that somehow redefined immersive RPGs, at least for me. So if you only have $70 or $80 to spend during February next year, which one would you choose? For me, while I do love Assassin's Creed, and if you look through my channel, Assassin's Creed is what I am actually all about. But because of the current circumstances, which included how Starfield and Shattered Space were disappointments, I am likely going to buy Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 first. Then maybe just buy Shadows if the reviews say that it's good. And it's not just because of Ubisoft's recent bad track record, but it's because Kingdom Come is really just a game that I would often go back again into and just become immersed in the world. It was like Skyrim 2.0 but more grounded and realistic. And difficult, but it was a game that you knew came from passionate creators and artists that just want to make fun games. It's a reflection of us, the players, those who are passionate about the games we play. We love games like Kingdom Come Deliverance, Elden Ring, and Black Myth Wukong because they came from authentic motivations. They came from people like us, from people who played games as a kid and still enjoy them now that we are adults, navigating the mazes of society. Because these games, whether we are aware of it or not, express ourselves as well. Because I believe we are the games that we play. And by this, I don't mean that if you're playing Assassin's Creed then you are now an assassin. No, What I mean by this is that the games we play are a reflection of ourselves. Which should be true, right? We love the games we love because there are certain aspects of them that resonate with us. For example, I love Assassin's Creed because of its exploration of the conflict between freedom and order. I love playing the games because, believe me or not, I find wisdom through the characters' stories. I loved experiencing Edge's growth through the whole trilogy, and I cherish Edward's journey into becoming something bigger than himself. Even in Valhalla, there were things that Eivor did that made me think deeply. Just the relationship between Eivor and Alfred was something that I loved, since Alfred is the Order's Grand Master, while Eivor is somehow an accomplice of the Hidden Ones. It was such a good dynamic, and I wish it was expanded more throughout the game. And in real life, I do the same as well. I like to read and watch stuff about philosophy, the meaning of life, and our place in the universe. And so I like games that have stories that deal with those aspects and other similar topics. I love games that give me a moral choice, whether through its narrative like Fallout New Vegas or through gameplay like Dishonored and Deus Ex. I play and bought these games because they resonated with me. For others, they may like RTS and strategy games because they like to plan things out in their life. They like to be organized and have fun managing the micro things of everyday life. Some immerse themselves in simulation games as either a way to escape the stress of real life, or it's a way for them to simulate things that they can't otherwise do. Or maybe they just want to live an alternate life, as that gives them some sort of solace, and there's nothing wrong about that. But now, a bunch of modern AAA titles are just husks of what they were a decade ago. They treat players like children, like we don't have the ability to read between lines and look beyond what is on the screen. They make shallow stories and gameplay because they think all you want is to see colors change on the screen and watch realistic graphics with ray tracing and other settings that I have no idea what they do. And because of this, I think, now more than ever, it's so important to keep this idea in mind, that you are what you play and pay for. Don't just buy a game because it's titled after your favorite game that peaked more than a decade ago, or because it came from a company that made your most beloved game. Instead, do your research first. There's a lot of content creators who review every newly released game, and with these reviews you will have a bunch of references to base on whether the game will resonate with you or not. And I know video games are a form of art, meaning that liking them or not can be subjective, so nothing beats first-hand experience. But because of the current price of AAA games, which is now around $70 or so, buying with the risk of not getting your money's worth is something to think about. Even the standard refund policies of being able to refund games if you play it under 2 hours is not effective. This just means the game devs need to make sure that the first 2 hours are somewhat enjoyable, and then they can make the rest of the games mediocre. Heck, they can even just make long boring cutscenes and loading screens to rack up players' playtime and get them past 2 hours. And so we are really left with no other choice but to trust reviews. And believe me, I know that reviews can often be wrong. Like for Assassin's Creed Valhalla, everybody hated that game. But when I played it, I liked it. But yes, I do agree that it was too long for its own good. They should have made a more compact game with a deeper and intricate story instead of whatever they did. Still, at the end of the day, I got it on sale plus all the DLCs for half the original price, so I think it was worth it. But for newly released AAA games, the ones that cost $70 or even $100 for special editions, you would expect a masterpiece or something close. So the only thing we can do is to really just be picky. To remember that we are what we play and pay for. So if we pay for shit, then we are shit. Which is harsh, but I think there is some truth in that, right? For example, we all know what Ubisoft and Bethesda have been up to. Personally, I saw how Bethesda butchered the Fallout franchise with Fallout 76. Though I heard it's a bit better now, but the whole thing was a symptom. Add how they were milking Skyrim with toaster and washing machine editions plus their Creation Club issues. And it's obvious they are squeezing fans of their money with scammy tactics. But I ignored that. I bought Starfield's Premium Edition for like $70 or $80, and 1 year later, I couldn't even force myself to play the DLC. I played like 2 or 3 hours of Shattered Space and decided to call it quits, since I was just bored, like really bored. And so I felt so bad. I felt like I wasted the money and my time which I could have spent on other better and amazing games. Heck, I could have just used that to support indie game developers that actually deserve recognition and monetary compensation. So in the upcoming days, in what seem to be dark times, at least for the AAA landscape, keep my words in mind. You're what you play and pay for. So start playing and paying for gold, for labors of love. And maybe, just maybe, we'll be able to get back the amazing franchises we've lost.